How about them Raptors? They come out and smoothly outplay the Utah Jazz from start to finish and win the ball game 130 to 110. This is the Airborne Podcast. I'm your host Ajith, and they came out and scored 130 points on a team that's a contender in the West with the fifth best defense in the league right now. And this game was over in the first half. There isn't much to say about the Utah Jazz other than maybe that third quarter, but we'll get into that in a bit. I just want to start off by saying, welcome back to Serge Ibaka. He was out for 10 games with the ankle injury, and he was kind of rusty at first, but then he started picking it up in the second half. And, they let him run out, be on the court for longer than he should have been, just because, he's coming back, and so he's playing with, the bench unit, the third stringers, basically. And they went crazy. You saw the first half. They set so many records. I believe that was the best half, or the highest they ever led in a half in franchise history. And that was the Utah Jazz's, I believe that's Utah Jazz's highest and biggest deficit in their franchise. And we had the 8th highest points scored in a half, I believe. I got to check this up, but we set so many records in that first half. It was absolutely ridiculous. And everyone was going off. You saw Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol came out, guns blazing, shooting up threes. He had 11 points in the first quarter. Pascal Siakam, he had 19 points in the first quarter. And Fred VanVleet was on fire from three. He was... I believe he ended the game off 5 of 7 from 3, and he had 21 points with 11 assists and 5 rebounds. Pascal, what else is there left to say about him? He's flourishing as a number one option. He had a bad game last game against Orlando, but he had a double-double that game. But for his standard, that was very bad because he was really awful from the field. But tonight, first quarter, 19 points, 8 of 10 from the field, and he went into the half with 26 points, and he outscored all the starters on the Utah Jazz's side in the first half. He had 26, and they all had 24 in total. Our biggest franchise record leading at the half previous to this night was, I believe, 37 points to the New Jersey Nets in 2009 when we were up 70-33. It was basically, you could tell that, coming out in the third quarter, the Raptors came out sluggish. It really looked like it was going to turn into a game of two halves. But the Raptors picked it up halfway through the third quarter. Utah came out on fire. They started shooting threes from everywhere. Our defense was really bad, and we let them score a franchise record of 49 points. I'm saying, I'm being honest, there were a lot of records set out tonight in that game. As lopsided as it was for the Raptors, there was a little scare in that third quarter where, they went on a run and they cut it to about 17, and they looked like they were going to get back in the game, but the Raptors were able to make timely buckets and get the W. Norman Powell hit some big threes. Rondae had a couple 3-point plays in the second half. You saw him do a little dance. I believe he had a 3-point play in the second quarter, and he did that little Nene dance. And then he had another one to stop their run in the third quarter. I still can't believe they almost scored 50 points in that quarter. And the saddest part about it for them was that even though they went on that run, they were still down 20. And it's true. Right now in this NBA, 20 points is not a big lead. It's the best comparison to show it to or to compare it to is if if a hockey team was up 2-0, that's not really a big lead. You've seen many teams come back and score in like 2 goals in 10 seconds. It's happened before. I believe a team scored 2 goals in 4 seconds this season in the NHL. I can't pinpoint which team it was, but I remember seeing it somewhere. I'm going to get into the stats right now. Probably start off with the Utah Jazz side just because there really isn't much to say about them. The Raptors defense really did play a big part in holding their top scorers below their season averages. I believe Donovan Mitchell had 16 points today, but his season average is around 29, if I'm not mistaken. Or that's what he's averaging right now. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell tonight had 16 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists, and he was 6 of 16 from the field, and 2 of 6 from the free throw line. 2 of 6 from the 3-point line, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Bogdanovic only had 11 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 of 14 from the field, and 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. They did a really good job on the perimeter defending those guys, and the first half, there was really nothing you could say negative about the Raptors because that's how good their defense was. The first quarter, they scored only 20 points, and I'm referring to the Jazz. And we were leading up 17, I believe it was 37-20 when we ended the first quarter. And then at the half, we had 77 points, and they had 37. So they only scored 17 in the second quarter, and we went off and scored 40. And that's how we got such a big lead. Rudy Gobert, he had a Shaq in the Fool moment where the ball kind of slipped out of his hand and then he missed an open dunk in the lane. Conley went off. Conley was the only bright spot for them, and Donovan Mitchell kind of in that third quarter. But aside from that, I mean, Utah Jazz fans probably were covering their eyes throughout this whole game. I bet you 95% of them turned off the TV after the first half, because no one on this planet thought that they were going to come back and win that game. We were too good at home. We're still undefeated. We're 9-0, and we extended our winning streak to 7 now, and we're 15-4, and we have the third best record in the league, second best in the Eastern Conference behind Milwaukee. And time and time again, the Raptors just seem to keep impressing everybody who doubted them, and you can see they're all playing with that chip on their shoulder, and no one is afraid of the moment right now. Everybody is going crazy. You saw Norman Powell go off last game and, scored 30 points, 30 plus. I believe he had 33. And then now Siakam, you see him go for 35. He could have easily went for 45, 50, but our team is predicated on ball movement and hitting the open man, always hitting up the open man, and they pass up a good shot for a great shot, and that's just how we work. And they brought back Ibaka, like I said earlier, and he was in double figures, I believe. He had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. 3 assists, 5 of 14 from the field, and 2 of 5 from 3. So that's a solid, decent game coming back from injury. And Terrence Davis, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Exactly identical numbers to Serge Ibaka, but he was more efficient with 5 of 7 from the field and 2 of 3 from 3. The odd man out of the rotation based on, because Serge Ibaka came back was Chris Boucher, sadly. And he only had he had the garbage time basically today, so he didn't do much. He only had 1 rebound. Marc Gasol set the tone. We went off at the beginning, and we were up 28-11 in that first quarter. I believe we were on a 23-2 run, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Utah Jazz called a timeout and then came back and hit a 3. OG had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, but he had 4 steals today. Him and Norman Powell both had 4 steals. And the Utah Jazz were just so sloppy in that first half. You just saw turnover after turnover after turnover after turnover. Everyone was just losing the ball in the paint, and all the Raptors players got good hands. They're all defensive-minded, right? So, you just see them. One guy gets his hand on the ball, and everyone else is just gunning out on the fast break. And that kind of pace can wear other teams down when you continuously turn the ball over, and that's what happened. And the Utah Jazz, they ran out of gas. That's what happened. And Quinn Snyder, who's the coach of the Utah Jazz, he took out his starters, I believe, halfway through the fourth quarter because they have a back-to-back tomorrow against Philly. So they just waved the white flag. They try to make a push and try to get the lead closer, or like the deficit down a little lower, but they couldn't because the Raptors were making timely buckets, and that's all she wrote. Next up for the Raptors is on Tuesday against the Miami Heat. They won against Brooklyn today. They came back, and I think they closed out that game on a 10-0 run. These two teams are at the top of the East. And if I look at the standings correctly, I believe Miami is in third place right now, so right behind us. And Jimmy Butler's fit in seamlessly. Yeah, he's fit in seamlessly, and they got a lot of shooters. They got that same type of grit and grind culture. You know, they're all about their culture, just like the Raptors, and that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. We have 11 of our 16 games this month at home, so we should be able to take care of business. But this three game stretch that we have, starting off with the Jazz today, is going to be difficult because we're playing all these playoff contender, championship contender teams. And after Miami, we have Houston coming in, and that combo is going to be deadly with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. But if there's a team that can pull out these type of wins and stay undefeated at home, I trust the Raptors. They know what they're doing. Everyone knows their role. I just hope Kyle Lowry comes back. If he comes back, I want to see how our team does when he's back in the lineup. I want to see how Fred VanVleet adjusts. Because, today we got about 14 points back in the lineup with Serge Ibaka coming back. And then Lowry's basically a 20-point scorer. And I want to see him back because I have him on my fantasy team, and he's killing me right now sitting on the bench for like the last 2 weeks. So please, Lowry, hurry up. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about this game. Like I said, in the third quarter, that was the only time I was actually I wasn't really worried, but I would say that the way that they were hitting their shots to come out of the third quarter, like Utah was going crazy. Like they came out 6 of 6 from the field. Everyone was just making open shots, and that was the only downfall to the. I wouldn't even say downfall. The only flaw that the team had today. Other than that, we were good. And you guys have to be excited. This team is so fun to watch right now. Everyone's having fun. No one's selfish, and the way they play, you just don't know who's going to go off. 4 different players on our team in our starting lineup have gone off for 30 plus. Starting off with Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet in that opening series against opening night against the New Orleans Pelicans. And then Kyle Lowry went off against Milwaukee. Unfortunately, he was on a loss, but he had 36 points that night. And then Norman Powell last night went off for 33. Not last night. Against Orlando, went off for 33. But Fred VanVleet and Pascal, like I said, in that opening night game, Pascal went off for 44. Fred VanVleet had 34, I believe. Oh, no, sorry. What am I saying? 44. They both went off for 34 against New Orleans on opening night. But Pascal did have a 44-point game in New Orleans. That's why I got that confused, so I apologize. But regardless, it doesn't matter. The stats are the stats. Raptors are winning, and I can't wait till April comes. I really want to see if this type of play does translate to the playoffs. And, they have that championship experience now, and I hope to see that they don't get phased like this. I hope that last year's playoff run to the championship helps these guys prevail in close games in the playoffs where they don't shy away from the moment and they do hit big shots, because that's what's most important for us, right? Like, we don't worry about the regular season anymore. As fun as it is to watch it and to see them go off like this on winning streaks without their best players in the lineup, and with the departure of Kawhi Leonard, for us to see them do this well, it's really amazing to watch. Very fun. That's why you always see, you've been seeing sold out crowds in the Scotiabank Arena or the Air Canada Center, whatever you want to call it, for the past 6 seasons, because we've had winning like 6 winning seasons consecutively, and it's only getting better here on out. And the way the development staff, the scouting staff, all these guys are seeking out players and training them and getting them to turn out to players like this, to be like standout players like Pascal late in the draft, and Van Vliet, an undrafted player, Terrence Davis, who you never thought would have produced anything this season, but coming out and scoring double digits basically every game. He's been able to get proper minutes. It's amazing to see, and sky's the limit for this team, and the future is very bright. And like I said, let me know in the comment section if y'all are excited for the playoffs, and let me know what seed you guys think that the Raptors will end off with, because I'm hoping they'll get a top 2 seed with the way Philly and Boston are still trying to figure it out. Well, Boston's pretty good, but Philly's kind of up and down right now, and the Miami Heat are kind of looking scary. So, like I said, let me know. If y'all enjoyed this podcast, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, show your boy that love, and we'll see you back here for the next podcast episode against the Miami Heat, and hopefully I'll be able to say that we extended our winning streak to 8. But till then, stay blessed, stay woke, and peace!